All right, this is the Big Douglas Show. Got the rapper Big Pooh with me. And our guest today is Roy Wood Jr. Roy, thanks for hopping on with us.
An honor and a pleasure, gentlemen.
Very
Respectfully.
excited. You know, it is my mom watches all these because she's my mom. She doesn't care anything about sports or the entertainers that we have on. But I got to tell you, she's excited about this one because, Roy, you wrapped the season finale of the Finding Your Roots. And my mom loves that more than anything. Genealogy, you can
Yo.
find her for 5, 6 hours a day. You can find her traveling to graveyards trying to find dead people to connect the McCrae family. I'm telling you. So I know she's excited to hear about your experience on that television show.
That shit is wild. That's probably of anything I've ever done in television, probably the most meaningful, but the most stressful. Cause
Really?
them niggas call everybody in your life, bro. They and they don't. This was wild. They don't tell the people who in the family they're investigating. So like, basically, Finding Your Roots producers, they call niggas on my dad's side who I literally haven't talked to in 30 years. Yes, we're looking for pictures of Roy Wood Sr. Um, we're with a show. What's the show? We cannot disclose, but it's with PBS. All right, well, why the fuck would I send you pictures of my goddamn family? Well, it's for a person in your family who will then have the information and the click. And my pop side of the family so cold blooded, it got to the point where PBS had to call me and like, listen, would you mind reaching out to these niggas and telling them that it's you? Because we're having trouble getting pictures because it seems that you black people like to keep secrets from strangers. And I'm like, yeah, you think? Uh, it was wild, man. The wildest shit was them finding the name of the white person that bought my these are Henry Louis Gates words, not mine. My Kunta Kinte. He tracked us back to the slave ship in Charleston, South Carolina. He found the purchase paperwork for the first person to set foot on American soil and be given the name Wood. He found that. Then he found the name of the white person who bought him. Then a stranger DM me on Facebook and go, nigga, I know the great great granddaughter, and I know where Samuel Wood was buried. I can tell you the county in Georgia. You might be able to track down the relatives of that slave master. So that shit's been swirling in my head the last couple months of do you track down? And then I know some brother, I forget the name of the documentary and I apologize. I know someone who already did that. They sat down and broke bread with the ancestors of their ancestors' slave masters. So, which number one goes to show that every idea in entertainment has already been done. And two, I just don't know how peaceful I would be. The other thing that I learned from that show, and I guess it's something I should have known, but maybe I shouldn't have because, I grew up in Alabama, and Alabama public schools, they skate over slavery. And for the most part in entertainment, slavery is presented as this big Amazon factory where it's 1,000 employees and it's a motherfucker on a horse walking around all of the slaves. My ancestors were never they were owned by white people who never at any point owned more than like 4 or 5 black people. Like the brokest slave masters of all time. Like these motherfuckers was not balling. And like the idea that they're even within slave mastery, there's still a hierarchy of stunting. Like,
Right. It's a hierarchy to how many slaves.
yeah,
I have 400. I have 3.
I have 3. You broke bitch. Get your ass out of here with them 3 slaves.
That's
Even Wu
great.
Tang had 10 people.
Like how do you I mean, not you personally, but like how would sitting down with ancestors the slave master that owned your family, how is that meal supposed to go?
I don't know.
Like
I
how
don't
is
know.
how is that meal really supposed to go?
It's not for healing. It ain't on some let's all fucking forgive one another. I'm not trying to roll up on them and hold them accountable. I'm not trying to ride for Samuel Wood and whoop their ass. But I am curious about how is racism passed down? Or was it
Mm-mm.
passed down? Are you racist? Like, I don't even know if I would even speak to them off the top, Or are they just in denial about it? Yeah, I don't know much about my past. I don't speak about it.
I about to say, what if they don't even really know much
Right.
about their past? Like
Yeah.
that's the other thing. Like, because even though racism is indeed passed down, the buck sometimes stops somewhere, and it's like, nah, we not going to continue this line of thinking, and so that now they,
Okay, so who was that person? Who was the Because you
yeah,
can't be white and in Georgia. We're talking about white folks in Georgia, by the way, coming up through the 1880s till now. You saw racism. You
absolutely,
saw your friends be racist. So who in your house was like, nah, we ain't doing that? And maybe it's from something that they saw, in their ancestry. It I'm curious. I'm not convinced that it's a conversation I need to have, but I am curious. It ain't like it's not even something I would even bring cameras on. Like I'm not trying to have some big ass Oprah Meghan Markle interview. So tell me about your great great grand slave master. Like it's not that, but there's definitely this weird curiosity about it that I didn't have before. I didn't even give a fuck. Like to tell you the truth, Doug, I didn't even want to do the show. My girl is the reason why I did it.
Oh, really?
My girl, man, because it was wrong of me to feel that way. I can say that now, but I definitely just never really gave a fuck. And a lot of that is just because of disdain from my pop side. Because, we grew up a little broken and just I have a lot of half siblings that I'm close with. But the people on my dad's side, aunts, uncles, so many people died early. And then also, we just never saw them. I never got taken around them. So when you never see those people, and then as a kid, you get older and you go, well, them niggas wasn't checking for me either. So I don't give a fuck where y'all came from. I'm good. The folks I know is who I know, and that's what I need to know.
How
But
long
then
was that process, Roy?
for the show,
Yeah.
about a year and a half.
Oh, damn.
For
Okay.
sure, a year before we shot. You do the DNA, and then they just start talking to folks. They find out as much as they can on paper from people, and then they just go through public records, city by city, day by day, and start sifting through everything. I don't know if it's quicker than that or not because, my episode was shot during COVID. So, a lot of the records that they find, that shit is at libraries. Like, they have to go get the microfilms from Card Catalog and Dewey Decimal. Like, the shit ain't on Google. So
Mm-hmm.
to find the purchase manifest in South Carolina, you first have to find the death certificate of the like a lot of that show is them finding marriage certificates and marriage, birth, and death certificates are the paper trail that essentially connect you to your past. If you can find any one of those three things, on that is the name of the fathers, of the parents of the people. And so by finding the next parental name, you try to find marriage, birth, or death of those people. And on either of those three forms is the parents. So that's how they keep backtracking and backtracking and backtracking. But all three of those forms could be anywhere in America. And so it's just meticulous. And half them places that have it, I imagine, were closed for COVID. But, you
it's
know,
ancestry.com on steroids, ain't it?
bro, this shit is like some meticulous detective work. Like, you gotta find the Roy Wood, and then you gotta find every Roy Wood that was born in Atlanta, every Roy Wood in Atlanta from this time to this time that lived at this. Oh, also voter registration cards. Like that was another way. Well,
Yeah, they
once black
detectives for
people were
real.
allowed to vote, but yeah, it was very very eye opening, and like if nothing else, my son gonna get a fucking A on any family tree project. He ain't got to do nothing. He just got to play that episode in the classroom and be like, bitch, I know everything.
My family tree is already done. Here you go.
Literally, it's literally done all the way back to the slave ship. Every single person accounted for, name, date, death, the whole wop. He don't even need to do that. They gave it to me as a poster. I could put it on his wall tomorrow if I wanted to. I am at some point because I want him to know, his lineage and his history. I think it is very important because even if I don't really care about it, he might. And I also think that so much black trauma just don't get discussed because niggas don't want to sit down and have a heavy conversation with they self or with they people, that you just avoid so much stuff and it never gets passed down. And that's why there's so many question marks. That's why we got all these health issues. You won't even tell nobody how so-and-so died. You just say he gone to God.
And that's facts, because I'm literally at the big age of 41. I'm just finding out how my grandfather really passed, how, just the things like, I didn't know he died of colon cancer. I thought it was something else, which is important as a 41-year-old black man, because I just so happened to have to go get colonoscopy for other reasons, but just finding that out, and I was like, oh, I should have been did this. Like,
it's like, yo, man, you got to communicate, bro. You got to tell people what the hell is going on, and I think that's probably the most important thing about it. But I mean, anybody, I don't want to say anybody could do it, but it is meticulous, but it can be done. It's not like they calling some secret Illuminati registry and finding out all this shit. Everything that they do on finding your roots is public record. You just need the tenacity and the patience to go through all of these records and, from time to time travel to some state county clerk office to find a marriage certificate from the 1920s and then tie that to something else from the 1800s and then go through line by line slave purchase orders in a particular county. Like, the paperwork is all there. That's why I like when white people be talking, well, we didn't talk about that much. Yeah, but that stuff is well documented. Like, there's not a lot of erasure of your history. It's just not discussed, maybe, but there's plenty of paperwork. Like, the fact that somebody heard the name of the great, great, great slave master and knew their four descendants and knew where those people was buried and know that the daughter is still breathing as we speak.
That says a lot.
It says a lot.
It says a lot.
And that person ain't even in the family. This nigga's a neighbor of the it's some 3 degrees separation.
So he got the story.
Yeah, my uncle used to live next door to the nigga that owned your great great. So if you want to know about your great great, go to this cemetery and that person's buried there, and the descendants of that person, they still live in Georgia, so you can go find them.
That's insane.
I kind of just want to, if I find them and they broke, I'm going to leave them alone. I do know that much. Because I'd be like, all right, that's karma. That's good.
You got yours.
Yeah. You roll up on the descendant of a slave master and they live in broke. I'm like, all right, that guy. That's a good. Appreciate that.
Well, you also got the job fair you've been doing. I checked a couple of those out. They're hilarious. Got me thinking. When I was in college, I worked my way through moving furniture. I don't know if you ever known like real furniture movers, like the guys that wake up every morning, smoke a L, drink a Blue Bull, and then move
y'all doing corporate. Y'all
20,000 pounds of 20,000 pounds of furniture later with a hump strap, carry furniture on your back. Those guys do it every day.
No.
It's a totally different like group.
I had 2 strict policies on work. And this is because I did it and I know I never do it again. Nothing in the office and nothing physically strenuous. Like, I could work outside and I could work around food. Those were my 2. Like, pretty much everything I did was food because I could eat for free in college. But moving furniture, bro, no.
It was
Nah.
rough. It paid well, but it's a unique village of people that are
Y'all were
career furniture movers.
movers were making 20 an hour when minimum wage was still like fucking
Oh,
5.75.
it's $1 per 100 pounds. All right. So if you show up in the morning and catch you a big truck, 15, 16,000 pounds on it, you just cleared 150 bucks cash, no taxes on it. So
Jeez.
it depends on what you're willing to get out there and
And
do,
they
but
was
the
paying
money
them like
was
drug
there.
dealers.
Yes. Now there were hustling. Like some people wanted $1.25 an hour. You know what I mean? Some drivers be like, listen, man, I only got 75 cents an hour. And it's or 100. It's like, now we know you got from the company enough to pay a full $1.100. So
You know
dollar 100.
when I found out movers was expensive was when I moved to LA. Like I never had an opinion about illegal immigration and day labor until I called two men in a truck and them niggas gave me that quote for two motherfuckers to drive my shit from Birmingham to LA. Man, I went to U-Haul and then I pulled up on Lorna Road in Birmingham. That's what I don't know if it's I don't think it's like that anymore now, but that's where the Mexicans used to post up. And I pulled up to that bitch. I said, "Move?" They said, "See." I said, "Bet." And they loaded my truck in an hour and a half, if that. And I
Still
think,
2 men in the truck.
yeah, still 2 minute truck, but it was like 15 an hour. They was carrying couches. None of this is wrapped. It ain't padded. It's uninsured. This shit is sliding around like a fucking margarita in the like I'm on the freeway. Every time I change lanes, I can just hear my shit. Half my shit was broke when I got to LA, but I saved some fucking money, bro. It was worth it. It was worth it.
That's crazy. Bro, I always wanted to ask you because I enjoyed the series thoroughly. When you did your own chicken sandwich war series, man. Listen,
The coalition.
I never thought that would be as entertaining as it ended up being. When I tell you, like, because Fonte put me on to it, he's like, "Yo, you need to check this out." So when I started watching, I was like, "Yo, he really captured the essence of what this shit is for real." Like what made you decide to do that?
So, for the people who don't know, the coalition was basically a crime drama where every character was a chicken sandwich from a various fast food restaurant. And it was a tweet, bro. So I can't remember if I tweeted it or somebody tweeted it, where basically when the Popeyes chicken sandwich first came on the scene, like fall 2019, and I was like, yo, these other fast food spots got to be shook. This is like The Wire when the new nigga came in with better product. And whenever a dope dealer come in, whenever new dope hits the market, all the other dope dealers is like, fuck, what we gonna do to take this nigga out? They get together like a coalition. And then in my head, I was like, that would be funny if there was a fucking meeting of all the fast food companies. What would that look like? You know, it'd be funnier if it was chicken sandwiches. And at the time, I was on the road and I had access to, like I live in New York. So there isn't but so many fast food spots. But at the time, I was in the Midwest. I was like, all right, fuck it. I'm finna go to Rally's. I'm gonna get a chicken sandwich. I'm gonna go to McDonald's. I'm gonna go to Wendy's. The only place I couldn't find was fucking Kentucky Fried Chicken. That's why it didn't show up until episode 9, because it took me a long time to get to. And I bought these sandwiches, and originally I was trying to do like stop motion, and I was just bored. Like it was like 2 weeks off from the Daily Show, and my girl comes in the house one day, and I'm on the ground with a White Castle and a Jack in the Box, and I'm like, yeah, fuck it, this is gonna be funny. We're gonna have a little chicken meeting at the table, and they gonna plot on what they gonna do about Popeyes. And it was supposed to be a parody of the New Jack City scene after the Carter got raided, and Nino Brown is pacing back and forth at the table and going, "Don't nobody know nothing? Don't nobody know nothing?" Popeyes just came in here and took over the game? Checkers. You don't know nothing? Checkers don't know nothing, huh? What about Burger King? What about... And so I just did one. It made me laugh. People wanted more, and I still had the wrappers. So I just went and bought butt naked hamburger buns to like add a little volume to the packaging.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started doing them. And it just became this thing where I had to write out the scripts, but they couldn't be more than 2 minutes because I just felt like this don't need to be more than 2 minutes. And I would write an episode, and I'll go, oh, it'd be funny if it was this. Oh, you know what would really be funny? Is if you added this sandwich. Oh, yeah. Let me call this nigga in Chicago, see if he can send me a wrapper from Harold's Fried Chicken. Because it'd be dope if we had Harold's Fried Chicken. Then I got booked. This is around the same time when I got booked on Better Call Saul, which shoots in Albuquerque. And so on the West Coast, now I got access to Jack in the Box. Now I got access to Carl's Jr. So now I'm like, fuck it. We gonna make a whole... Now we got Whataburger. That's West Coast. That's, Texas on West.
Mm-hmm.
I go, fuck it. We gonna have some villains who are the less popular chickens, the ones you forgot about, the forgotten. Yeah. Now, and it just fucking spiraled, bro. And I knew it was something I would never get sponsored. I knew it was something nobody would ever buy because it's an advertising nightmare because everybody's logo is in that shit. But I don't care. Like, it just made me laugh. And like, that was the first thing in a long time where I felt like I got to do something strictly because it made me laugh. And there was no network putting input into it or giving opinion, like none of that shit. I was like, chicken sandwiches acting like chicken sandwiches is the fucking dope game is funny. And I'm just going to follow the headlines like Dick Wolf. And whatever happened in real life, I'm going to just put that shit.
That go into the store.
Yeah, that's going into the story. And so I ended up, I can't remember what happened. I know it was right before the COVID shut down, and I was trying to get serious about this film I had to write. And I was like, if I'm not careful, I'll just keep doing coalitions for no reason. And then my girl just came in one day. I shot like 15 episodes of this shit. And she's like, what is the end game with this? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. It's just fun. It makes me like this is therapeutic, but the editing and the graphics, it was starting to intrude a little bit upon things that
I imagine
could pay the bills. But from a creativity standpoint, I was like, fuck it. I still might run it back. I just got to get on the other side of this tour. But I don't know. That's just where it came from, man. Like, it was just one little quick thing that just snowballed into a 15-episode web series of just talking sandwiches.
It was brilliant. It was brilliant.
I got to put an ending on part 2 at some point.
Is it harder now with comedy in the landscape we're in? Does it make you more cautious or worrisome when you do certain things?
I'm more worried about people not giving comics a space to suck in order to get good. You got to cross the line a little bit to know where the line is. And I know some comedians are, shout out to Charlie Murphy, habitual line steppers. But for me, like comedy, it's the only, I don't want to say only, it's one of the few art forms that's created in front of the consumer. So but people expect it to be perfection. And it can't be that, and I have to get your feedback to know. So that's a little more difficult, but I think on the other side of that, it's more rewarding if you can still stick the landing. You just got to be crafty about how you... All right, I'll give you an example of a bit that I'm trying to work out now on stage. I'm going to tell you the thesis. The thesis of the bit is that black people, we have the wrong white allies. We have white allies, but they're vegans and they don't believe in guns, and these aren't the white allies you need. Like these are the white allies for if it's bureaucracy. But if it's time to go to the fucking streets for our, like if a race war started tomorrow, These are not the white allies you need. You need a couple of them niggas that stormed the Capitol on your team, and we don't have that. And so it's an exploration into that, but then I'm trying to go into how the Asian hate crime bill, right? So, there's been a wave of hate crimes against, people in our Asian community, Pacific American, et cetera, community. And within 2 months, there was an anti-Asian hate crime bill law passed immediately. So, motherfucker, who did that for the Asians? That's who black people need, because we need rights. We need laws changed. So if you want to be a good white ally, go get us a couple of Asians, because clearly they know what they're doing. Y'all over here bullshitting and marching with us. Stop marching with me, motherfucker. Go get the law changed. So that's the thesis statement of the bit, right? I have to be careful in how I word that so that it doesn't sound like I'm disrespecting the Asian community, because I'm not. That's not the intention. But there's been a couple of nights on stage where I didn't word that bitch quite the right way, but I needed those nights to learn exactly. All right, here's how you toe the line, because I want to juggle dynamite. I want you to feel like I might say the wrong. Where's he going with this? Oh no, he said Asian hate crime. Oh my goodness, where is he going with this? Oh no, I wouldn't have dared say. Oh, I agree. And so that's the yo-yo that I like to, if it's that's the melody of my material that I like to do. So if this was 2004, I'd have a lot more flicks. But now, you have to try and tiptoe a little bit, because, comedians can complain about you can't say nothing and it cancel culture. Yeah, okay. Well, what you gonna do about it, nigga? You're not gonna change the ideology of the people. So how are you going to adjust? Or are you going to adjust at all? I just know that complaining and bitching about it ain't gonna change public ideology. You're not gonna chastise people into thinking a certain way. So, yeah, this is the environment you have to fucking develop in. I do a new joke night in New York City now, and we bag up phones, because you niggas don't understand that this is a new joke and it's not my finalized, finished, polished thought and opinion on this topic. I just need a forum to rough draft this, and people often don't want to give you that space, or they make you think you're getting that space, and then they post the fucking video, and then that's what becomes representative of your ideologies for the rest of your life, and that's fucked up.
And they should have sold out immediately, right?
Yeah, that was a little shocking. We're gonna run it back in June for a couple of shows, but I mean, it's only 30 seats by design. I didn't want to do all of this shit in front of 150, 200 people for the first time. Let's get a nice little focus group. It's 30 people that pay, and then I usually have like 5, 10 of my friends that I like, that I think have enough level of intellect and understanding that they know that this is all experiential and that we're just trying stuff. And then it becomes a safe place for other comedians to come through and do stuff, which is what I also want. I just think the way that we, if anything, that's been my biggest adjustment, is how and where I do the new material. Like, I don't really, like, right now, New York is back open, I think 60% capacity. I still don't fuck with the regular comedy clubs in the city yet, because I just, let me do my shit on the rooftop and in a weird basement for a little while. Make sure this shit right. Because niggas that come to a regular comedy club, they're still expecting this regular polished thing that I don't think is realistic.
Roy, can you talk about what happens, or how fast you have bombed that night?
Ooh.
Because like comedy is one of them. it's one of them art forms where it's nowhere to hide, it's nowhere to run. It's you by yourself, and everybody's looking at you. And I'm
Yes.
and like
Yes.
how like when you know when you can feel the ship going down, like what is your response? Like how do you know, how fast do you know, and then what is your response to something like that?
You know within 3 jokes. If it's like a regular, like let's say I'm doing a 15-minute set, then first 2 jokes don't hit, you'll call an audible on the third joke. Whatever you had scripted in your head as your run of show, you toss that out, and now you're looking for a joke. I call it the defibrillator.
Mm.
So 2 shit jokes, and then you got to get out the paddles. So you hit them with the paddles, and if that don't work, your audience is dead. Now the question becomes, do you want to dig deeper into this hole? And then it becomes fun because you are bombing, and you let the audience know you're bombing, and you try your best to throw the show off the rails because you're sucking, and you acknowledge that. Or you fucking try your best to pull yourself out of it, and then just tell yourself, in 9 minutes I'll be in my happy place in an Uber, and I don't ever have to see these people again. The thing that gets me through a bomb is knowing that no one's going to remember.
Right.
Like, even if somebody saw me and I sucked and they remembered that they saw me and I sucked, they're not going to be able to tell you what. No one remembers their work. No one has a worse favorite comedian. You know, you just know, I saw him a couple times and he ain't funny. All right, that's fine. I can deal with that. It's once you get past that as a performer, like I would argue, bro, that comedians have it better than rappers because you niggas, you can't change your song.
Oh
The
no.
song,
Once it's out there, it's out there. It's there.
you're in the first verse and you still got 2 more verses to go, nigga, and their hands are not in the air. And, and you have 4 more fucking songs to sing.
Now
College bombs are the worst though. But
I
continue.
have cut a song when I saw the response wasn't what I like. I turned around to the DJ or hit that one finger. That mean one verse, baby. Turn this shit off after one. This is not the one. Just
Wait, that's how y'all be communicating with each other.
oh yeah, you gotta hit them with the slash. You gotta throw that finger up. You gotta have them nonverbal cues when you're on stage, just so, because you know when you're up there, you're still, well, at least I'm still monitoring how people are responding, and I can feel the energy if there is any. And if I don't feel any on a particular song, I exit out of that song immediately. I don't play no games. I'm not continuing on.
So you ain't gonna force them to hear the next 3 verses.
No. Well, first, I never do 3 verses of a song on stage anyway. I run my sets like a mixtape. You get a verse in the hook, and we out. Like you get 2 verses on the single. Like, but it's you still have to monitor that, because like as a musician, if you're bombing, if it's just not your night, like a lot of times you have that time frame, and it's typically at least 30 minutes, and it's just like if you know this ain't your night, and like within 5 minutes, hey, you just got to go down with the ship. Like,
Yeah.
you gotta like, if we gonna bomb, it's gonna be the most spectacular bomb in the history of bombing.
The other play is to attack the crowd, and you go like, fuck, the what was the Bill Burr at the Opie and Anthony in Philadelphia? It's a legendary bomb. There's video of it on YouTube where the audience had booed everybody the entire night, and that's the other thing as a comedian. You have to do your time to get your check. You cannot come off stage early. If you come off so much as a minute early, these motherfuckers love to hold you in breach and not pay you. So Bill Burr had to do 10 minutes. And he came out and tried to do a joke. They booed. He cursed the audience out, looked at his watch, announced he had 9 more minutes to let them know he wasn't going anywhere. They booed even more. He starts attacking the audience for how shitty they've been to the other comedians, looks at his watch, 8 minutes. Then starts trashing the city of Philadelphia. Like, just systematically fuck you people, and here's why. Here's why 1. Here's why 2. Here 6 minutes. Here's why 4. Here's why 5. 3 minutes. And by the end of it, had them on his side. And that's just acknowledging the bomb. It's literally the only, it was the only play he had in that moment, was to literally attack the souls of those people to try and survive. And he did. And it's fucking, it's one of the best bombs I've ever seen. It's better than what I did on the Apollo.
What you doing, Apollo, Roy?
You know,
We gotta go YouTube it.
Oh,
We gotta go
no,
Google
it's
it.
not. This before YouTube. You
Oh,
you
this
can't
is-
find my shit. This was 2002, nigga. You got to find the VHS. Only me and Ben Hill got that shit.
The microfiche.
Yeah, you got to go and find your roots, nigga. And they got to get Henry Louis Gates.
Got a Henry Louis Gates. Hey, you got that footage on Boy at the Apollo in 2002? I know you got it.
Yo, they asked me to send footage of me from when I was a younger comedian. I sent them nothing but quality sets. I'm like, y'all ain't getting my trash shit from 98. So, like, the Apollo, what's fucked up about the Apollo, at least back then, what they don't tell you is that they block shoot the show. And they shoot multiple episodes in one night with one crowd. They shoot usually 3 episodes. So it's 40 minutes out of it. So it's 40 and 40. I don't know. Let's say it's about a 2-hour rip. The drinks at the Apollo Theater, this is 2002. I can't speak to anything now. Mixed beverages at the Apollo. Mixed vodka with, but still vodka, whiskey, gin. $3 a pop.
Ooh.
$3 a pop.
Ooh.
In Harlem.
That's on purpose.
So the first thing they did, and my stupid ass, this is my first television appearance, was the Apollo. My stupid ass thought that they shoot the show in the order that it comes on TV. You know, Steve Harvey, well, it was Rudy Rush at that point. Steve was doing the sitcom at that point. You know, Rudy Rush come out. Hey, y'all, jokey joke. It's time for amateur night. All right, time for a musical guest. All right, time for the comedian. Because at that point, at the Apollo, they had separated the comedians from amateur night, thank God. And it was called Comedy TKO, where 2 comedians went out and do 3 minutes, and the crowd decides, you know, who lives or who dies. I get to the Apollo at 7 o'clock, and I see the line out front, and it's free admission. I didn't know this. It's free admission, and it's $3 mixed drinks. And then I go backstage, and the producer, Ben Hill, shout out to Ben Hill for even giving a nigga a chance. Ben Hill goes, okay, Roy, here's the rundown. We're going to do all the musical acts first. Then we're going to do all 3 runs of Amateur Night. Then we're going to do all 3 runs of Apollo Kids. And then we'll do all the comedians. So it's 7 o'clock, bro. Niggas are drinking $3 mixed drinks.
Of well liquor.
Well liquor. If I remember correctly, the musical guests, in order, and each guest does 2 songs. It's P. Diddy and the Family. It's DMX. And it was Ja Rule.
Oh man. In 2002, they were going up.
On $3 mixed drinks.
We're going up.
So they see 6 New Yorkers in peak New York. DMX is probably the only one that's not peak. He's starting on the other side into the acting and all of that other shit or whatever. But they still went up for X. His catalog was still fucking solid. So this place is in a fucking frenzy, bro. It's a frenzy. Then they roll out the amateurs. And I'm sitting backstage and I go, oh, that's how you set niggas up to get booed. Because they've been drinking $3 mixed drinks since 7 o'clock. And now it's 8:15. And you're just shitting on niggas' dreams one by one as they come out. Then they bring the kids out as a fucking chaser. So it calms niggas down. And now you can't yell for about 20 minutes because you've been watching these kids and you got to be nice. Then they bring out the fucking monkey mouth ass comedians. And knowing what I know now as a producer, I get why. I get why they stack the show that way. You need the music to get the crowd hyped so that the amateur night people come up to an audience that's already awakened and lively. You can't put the comedians next because it's kids. It's fucking 9 o'clock at night. You got to get the kids to fuck home. So the kids got to go next. So at that point, it's comedians, bro. And I went on stage, a show that started at 7. I probably didn't get on stage till about 9 o'clock. Them motherfuckers was so drunk, bro. And they fucking booed. They booed, like the boos were starting. I'm supposed to do 3 minutes. I stopped at 2 minutes, 37 seconds. I did like you did. I cut my own last joke and I walked the fuck off the stage. And as I'm walking off the stage, I said, thank y'all, I'm Roy Wood Jr. That's my time. I just fucking ran like a fucking coward. And as I'm coming off stage, Ben Hill is standing on the side of the stage looking at me. And he goes, stay out there. You've got more time. You've got more time. And I went, no, sir.
No, I don't.
No, I'm good.
My time been over 2 minutes ago.
So as I walk past, Rudy Rush comes past to go back on the stage. I hear the producer yell at Rudy, stretch for 40 seconds, please. We need a 40-second stretch. I'm like, fuck him. He the host. Handle it, host. Go stretch. That shit was so terrible, but so eye-opening, bro. It was so eye-opening. And the thing that's really dope about the Apollo, this is the other thing that I wish more people knew about that space, is that at least at that time when they do amateur night, every amateur is in this same green room area that's really not that bigger than an average church fellowship hall. About the size of a Foot Locker is probably the best way to describe that area. It's not small, but it ain't huge. But it's like if you have 5 amateurs per show and you're taping 3, that's 15 acts. And a lot of these acts are 3-4 people, dancers. Then you have all of these kids. Then you have all these so it's literally just a room full of people embarking on their dream. And it's probably one of the most supportive spaces I've ever set foot in. Like, whether you get booed or not, when you come back downstairs in the green room, everybody claps for you. Like, that was some shit I just never, like, just, because every boo before that was in Atlanta at Uptown, and you get booed, and then fucking Nard Hostin goes on stage and talk shit about you. The Earthquake comes on stage after you. Like booed so bad where like 3 comedians after you, they're still talking about you. Like that type of shit. So to go from that to actual support, I was like, all right, that was cool. And then I fucking got in my Ford Focus and drove back to Elizabeth, New Jersey. Fucking cried in the car.
Roy, the opposite of that is when you realize this thing was going to work out for you. I'm curious if there was like a set or a time where you're like, yeah, okay, I think maybe this is going to happen.
And paying my own bills was pretty cool. That was like 03, 04 money though. I was still living local. My rent, I had a little townhouse. I was paying $575 a month. I'd say 06. There was a 12-month stretch where I did Letterman and Def Jam in the same year. And so I was like, well, it can't get no whiter than that. And it can't get no blacker than that. Okay, maybe there's something to my style, because that was originally what I've been trying to do stylistically, was talk about me in a way that was unique enough that it connects with whoever. And so, like, that was the first time where I was like, oh, okay, all right, I figured this out. In '06, that was the year I got an agent too. So I was kind of all high on my head and like, ooh, I know what the fuck I'm doing now. But no. Yeah,
But
I
no.
think that's it. You know why though? Because the paranoia of failure just never leaves. So even now, I'm at a place career wise that I could have never fucking imagined in 1998. But there's still a piece of me that goes, don't you fuck this up, motherfucker, because you know it's going to be back to working at Golden Corral.
How'd you end up with the Daily Show in 15? Right? Did Trevor? He
Yeah,
came in the same time as Trevor. He brought you in, or that was
yeah,
a
Trevor brought
coincidence?
me in. Nah,
Yeah.
nah, nah. They were looking for new niggas, and Neil Brennan, shout out to Neil Brennan, Chappelle Show. He threw my name in the hat. And at the time, I was also doing a lot of shit on ESPN. I was really adrift that year, low key, because I was on a sitcom on TBS that had just got canceled. And so I was having trouble booking shit in LA. Like, I couldn't really book, much of anything. And I fucking look up, and the next thing I know, I'm just working the road and I'm not getting any opportunities. But then Daily Show comes along, and my degree is in broadcast. I've done more than enough like weird ESPN stuff that those things all worked in concert to help me get the audition. Like, that was something that, I'm forever thankful for. But I mean, bro, I was like, it's weird because sports is really not that different from politics. You could piss off a lot of people if you say the wrong thing. So you got to tiptoe around how you say it, and you don't want to piss off the sponsors. You don't want to piss off the players. I think sports is it's tougher than politics as a comedian, to figure out a way that makes people laugh that also keeps you employed. And so that was it. So I got the audition. I was nigga, I was opening for Wendy Williams at the time when I got the call. Wendy was doing this comedy tour, like a one woman storytelling situation or whatever. And I go to Wendy, I'm like, hey, and you don't be wanting to ask no favors, or because like this is the type of shit niggas get fired for on tour. When you leave the tour to go have a dream, hey Wendy, is it okay if I take tomorrow off to go and audition? Who are you auditioning for? It's a terrible Wendy voice. Who are you auditioning for? It's the Daily Show. Trevor Noah is gonna. Oh, I love Trevor. Tell Trevor to come be on my show and I'll let you audition. I go, yes, ma'am. And then she just does this. Okay. And so I took a day off from the tour to go audition, booked that hoe, and came right back. Came right back on tour. So, that was, if anything, I would say that. Doug, I think it's that, bro. Like,
Yeah.
when I got the Daily Show, that was like that moment of, oh, okay, everything I've done up until this point was preparing me for this. Got it.
And now
All the
you're
radio,
interviewing lawyers. That thing was hilarious the other day.
yo,
How did he take that? Was he surprised, or I mean, he had to kind of have some kind of idea what the premise was, right?
most people that we talk to on the show, we just let them know, look, I'm gonna say some wild shit. I'm the one that's gonna look crazy, not you. Just spit your truth. And that's it.
Correct.
Like, I'm not here to make you look crazy. Like, even when we talk to like Trump supporters or anti-vaxxers and shit like that, just tell me what you believe. I may have questions, but within that conversation is the funny. I'm not trying to make you look bad. Like, I think, You can find humor in anything, man. And that's the one thing I give Trevor credit for too, is that he don't back down from no topics. You know, you're talking to a dude that sued Chevron for poisoning the Amazon River. This dude is, it's not really funny. It's a lot of fucked up shit happening in Ecuador. But you don't joke on the pain, you joke on the people that are stopping the progress or denying the medicine to fix the wound. You know what I mean? Like that's like the joke isn't on the patient. The joke is on how inefficient and how terrible the doctors are. And so that's kind of how we kind of do. Like it's the same thing with Chicago gun violence. We walk in the block in the South Side with cats that's going through some real shit and gang interrupters that are like straight up intervening in street beefs better than the police. And I go to Trevor, yeah, I think that'll be funny. Can I walk the South Side with these brothers? And, you know, we really sat and blocked out what we wanted to do. But we also, even within that piece, like when we was on the block with these cats, we had to get permission to come up the block with the cameras. Like the shit is serious because, I mean, yeah, I'm black and yeah, I'm with black people and we got a black crew, but that camera has betrayed black people for a very long time. And you talking about pointing that shit at people and having jokes when the truth is, I just wanted to have conversations because all I was trying to show is that there are black people who care about black on black crime because that's the first thing people love to bitch about. So that was the whole point of the piece. Then the comedy is not from any conversation we had with anybody on the stoop. The comedy is rooted in the fact that the city cut funding, even though statistics show that when ceasefire stop violence is present in a particular zip code, violence goes down. So it's exploring that part of the game that I've always found interesting, and I never was able to find the right outlets for that until I got on the Daily Show, and you know my stand up was starting to evolve into something that was a little bit more opinionated too. So I'm just thankful, man. Like, that's probably a point where I felt like, okay, this job is right for me. Yeah, I had done enough journalistic shit, and I give a fuck enough about it. Yeah, I think I can do this. The only thing I wish I could take back, I wish I had taken some improv classes. I was supposed to take some improv classes and then book the tour with Wendy Williams. Then while I was on tour with her, booked the Daily Show and had to leave LA. So, you know, that's how the game go.
I think that's the genius of not just the Daily Show, but what you do on the Daily Show is that you know there's care, you know there's sincerity, you know there's real issues. Yes, there's humor, but you're also bringing attention to real issues amongst the humor. Humor is how you may reel some people in, but once you're in, you get that medicine. It's like I'm getting the medicine, and I think that's the genius in what you and y'all do over at the Daily Show.
Man, I appreciate it, man. That's all we've been trying to do, bro, is just sprinkle in some laughs in the middle of some wild shit. The thing that's frustrating, man, if it's one thing that's frustrating about this job, is because it's and let me say this tastefully, because it's an American-based show. I almost said an America First show. You don't want to say America First. Because it's a U.S.-based show, we tend to skew towards U.S. issues. We talk about stuff that's going on in the world. We don't ignore that. We also have a global edition that only airs overseas for people that are dealing with their shit, you know, overseas. But the thing that's frustrating is only having 30 minutes to really get in on stuff. And it's new tragedies on a regular. Like them, like, those be the hardest DMs to read. If I'm gonna be 100, it's, you know, I don't care nothing about somebody going, yes, I want to sponsor. Does your channel need a sponsor? Here's $100. I hate it when people message me about stuff that I know we don't have the real estate for on the show yet. You know, could name 8, 9 different things that are happening outside the U.S. that I go, yeah, that's something worth covering. But then I also know Viacom is not going to clear a correspondent to go travel there to actually, have a conversation about the issue. So, that part of it is a little disappointing, but, you just do what you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do what
Well,
you can.
we'd be remiss if we let you get out of here without asking something about sports.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Roy,
I'm with it.
you're a baseball man, correct?
Correct. Through and
And your
through.
team is the
Chicago Cubs.
how?
That's what I was trying to figure out. Because
How?
generally in that area, it's in that time frame, it was Braves all the way down there, right?
How you end up in
All right.
Chicago for the
So,
Cubs, no less?
Yeah, I was gonna say they weren't even good when you must have become a sports fan.
oh, they were trash in the 80s. No, here's the thing, though. The Cubs were
They had
trash,
Sandberg.
but the Cubs had a better 80s than the Braves. Statistically,
Better 80s, yes, that's true.
84, 89, they went to the pennant. They didn't win, but they were in the, in LCS. So it boils down to the cable package that we had at the house. Cubs games came on during the day, 1 o'clock. And Braves games came on at 7:30, I think. Maybe 8. I feel like 7:30 on TBS. We only had one TV in the house with the cable box. See, back in the day, young people, you might have 4 TVs, but only one TV had all the channels. The other TVs was just for local shit and watching Family Matters and, sitcoms and shit. So I would come home from school about 3:30, 4 o'clock, and if I wanted to watch baseball, the Cubs were on. So that's what I watched. They were already on. I could never watch the Braves because they came on at night, and by that time, my pops was home, and he ain't giving up the TV. My daddy worked hard, bro. He worked hard. So if he was home, it's his remote. And my pops don't really fuck with baseball like that. So it's that, and then it was also back in the 50s and the early 60s when my father was still a journalist in Chicago. He did a radio show with Ernie Banks. So he never. Also, the fact that that was allowed back in the day is some wild shit. Could you imagine an active black athlete teaming up with any black journalist today and they just talking about real world shit once a week?
Ain't happening.
There's not a chance. Like, athletes barely be tweeting about an issue. Ernie Banks was sitting in a chair for 2 hours and taking calls, talking to strangers. Ernie Banks, what you think about the riot and the thing and Dr. King and Malcolm? Like, on a regular basis, bro. So it's part that, but it really just boils down to that's what the fuck was on TV. And you could root for the Braves, but you ain't gonna never watch them because my daddy got to watch Hunter, and he ain't giving up the remote.
I will say Wrigley Field is one of the prettiest ballparks I've ever been to. Shout out to my guy Marlon Bird, former MLB player. I've been to a few.
Outfielder.
Yep, and I got a chance to go to Wrigley Field, and that was special for me.
It is one of the cathedrals, the 100 years or older, as I call them, Wrigley Dodger Stadium, and Dodger's not a hundo, but it's like 70. Wrigley, Dodger Stadium, and Fenway. Fenway's the other hundo. Them seats was all made before double cheeseburgers, though. Like, we used to be skinny as a culture in the 1920s.
Oh yeah,
It wasn't a lot of chunky folk because them seats they got, them the same seats from 19 Prohibition. it's fucking ridiculous. It's just, I don't know. I've always enjoyed baseball. It's peaceful. It's something that it's how I like to live my life. I like to be alone, but with other people.
understandable.
And that's what baseball is. It's an individual sport that you play together. No one can. You have to catch the ball. You have to hit the ball, and you just do your job. And whatever happens after that is out of your control. Where basketball, yeah, I guess it's similar, but I don't know. There's just such an individuality and isolation to baseball that I've always liked. But then you go back to the dugout and get to talk to your friends. And oh shit, nigga, I'll see y'all later. I gotta go stand out in the grass for 30 minutes.
Dugout is the break room.
Yeah,
That's the break room, and the field is
it's the
your
office.
position at the plant. Like,
That's right. Yo,
That's what it is. It's like working at the plant.
yeah,
All right, I'm gonna put the screws in.
that's
You
all I
put the
do.
seat in. Then you put the steering wheel in. Then that's it.
That's it. My job is just to put in the screws. That's it. I play
Yep.
left field. Don't talk to me about nothing else. I can't help it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
But
man.
Roy, man, we thank you for your time. We appreciate. We glad we finally got to do the pod with you, man. Just let the people know where they can find you online, which cities you coming to next, where they can get them tickets at.
Yeah. It's roywoodjr.com is the website. I think I got Philly, and then I got a gang of shit coming up in August. Baltimore, Sacramento, San Francisco, Raleigh, Tacoma. I'll be all over the place, man. But more importantly, my podcast, Roy's Job Fair. Just check that out. All we do is talk shit about shitty jobs.
I gotta come on there. I've had about 11 jobs in my lifetime, so I definitely gotta come over there and talk about a few.
All right, I'm gonna get you on, man.
Indeed,
Yeah,
indeed.
man.
Once again, thank you, Roy. We appreciate you, man. Have a good rest of your day, and keep on keeping on.
Indeed, man. All right, y'all.
Thank you, Roy.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Peace.